10 years in the NFL, Fox Sports. You know, we were talking about you yesterday. That usually when you're a quarterback and you go to the NFL, you get a terrible O-line. And you got a little lucky because you had Mangold and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. And that is, we were talking about, Kenny Pickett's O-line, Justin Fields' O-line. That is such a gift. You probably understood very early in New York. My left tackle, my center are really good. You probably figured it. Because at USC, you had pretty good O-lines.
Well, we had great O-lines, but a little lucky. That's an understatement of the century. These guys were amazing.
Well, I said that about Baker Mayfield. I said, I know I've criticized him. I said, when he left Cleveland, I went, Baker, you're never going to get an O-line that good.
Right.
Because his Carolina O-line, Mark, is typical of the NFL, where you got two guys you like, and then you're just filling spots. So, I feel bad. Like, I watched Justin Fields, and I'm like, I feel bad for him.
I mean, some guys run around by nature. Like, I think we'll talk a little Russ Wilson. We'll talk a little Kyler.
Yeah.
Those guys naturally aren't pure pocket passers. Part of it, I think, is size stuff. Yeah. But part of it is they're so instinctive that if 1 and 2 aren't open, boom, we got to roll, boys. Yeah. Let's go.
And they're great at it.
And they're amazing at it, So, I obviously less fortunate that way. Right. Shallow end of the dream pool there. Yeah. On the speed. But listen, that's part of it. So you have to develop your game in different ways. And I think that's why that leads to some of the frustration with Russ, right? Like in Denver.
He stopped running.
Well, I think Seattle, this is, I'm trying to look at it from all angles, right? Sure. But Pete and the Seahawks say, okay, he's not a true pocket passer. He's getting a little bit older. He can still move, but not like he used to.
Sure.
Is that what we want? Because at a certain point, we're going to have to beat people from the pocket. You got to win as a passer from the pocket, bottom line, at a certain point.
Yeah.
You play good enough teams. Well, if we're going to pay him to his last contract for $200+ million, and he can't do what he does the best, what are we doing? Well, and so, boom, okay, let's move off him, try and get some capital back, and build this thing back up, right? Well, then Hackett comes in, maybe expecting to get Aaron Rodgers, and now the tables kind of flip. Okay, we're going to do it with Russ, and I mean, it just takes time, right? That's the other thing. So maybe that's Seattle's perspective. Boom, it happens, and here we are. There's no excuses now. Let's figure it out and try and win ball games. Well, don't forget now, even when Peyton Manning went there, it took a little time. With Tom Brady and the Bucs 2 years ago, right? I know that's the in vogue thing. You get your, potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks, whether it's Stafford or Brady, right? And you go win a Super Bowl. Well, that's true. The last 2 years in a row, you get a new quarterback, you win a Super Bowl. Great. Well, for Tom Brady, they were 7-5 at the bye and got absolutely smoked by the Kansas City Chiefs that week. Remember? And Romo had enough juice to say, hey, that's the Super Bowl matchup, and predicted it, months beforehand, which people were like, this guy's crazy. He's lost it. Oh, he's out of the game too long. Well, he nailed it, but the Bucs were, on the ropes now. Look at Stafford last year in the Rams. That was a horrible month of November.
Oh, bad.
And, he was throwing picks, and you thought he was frustrated now. He was really frustrated last year, and the media was crushing the Rams. They didn't have a chance.
And Cincinnati last year.
But then you kind of crescendo at the right time. You hang around. It's just like a game, right? You hang around. Like the Jets last week. They hang around long enough. The Browns make a mistake. Chubb doesn't go down in a no-moss situation. And boom. Oh, now we got the onside kick. Oh, now we got a little momentum. Oh, we got a botched play by the defense. Boom, here come the Jets. Like, where did that come from? And good for Joe Flacco.
Well, think about this. The Bengals last year were 7-6 at one point. The Rams were scuffing. Brady was scuffing. And there is – so I want to – let me shift. So could you have the Rams and the Cardinals this week?
Right.
And so my takeaway is Burrow, Brady, and Stafford have something in common. For different reasons, they didn't practice much, and they didn't play in the preseason, and all three had offensive line additions or subtractions.
Sure.
And shocker, they all look off in their first 2 weeks. Now the Rams, I think they're fine, but I do think it's the arm issue, didn't play, O-line. Do you think the Rams' issues are solvable?
Well, I think they're trying to figure it out. You got to pay Aaron Donald. You lose Von Miller, so the defense is going to look a little different. They're banged up in the secondary. There's some pieces on offense you're trying to figure out, right? Robert Woods, a foundational piece of your offense, is now gone.
Too. Yeah.
Amazing blocker, and now Allen Robinson's in. But it just takes a little time to get these guys. It's like an onboarding session, right? You hire a summer intern. It takes a week or two for them to kind of get in a groove and figure out, okay, what am I doing? And who am I in this company? What is my identity here? What is my role here? And all that's happening as we speak. Small sample size, still early, but, I mean, you got to lean on other players when some superstars leave, right? Look at Ben Skoranek, the kid out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing fullback, he's blocking, he's all over the map last week, and he's catching balls out of the backfield, which he's never done. Now he's no longer on special teams, and he's contributing on offense more. So McVay's going to figure it out. And then we talk situation with the Browns, the complete opposite, right? Conversely, the Rams, what do? They took a safety at the end of the game just to waste clock, because at a certain point, the time is more important than points. Right. We got it. We're up 6, but we don't want to give them the ball with a chance to win. Let's take off all the time, take the safety, and then kick the ball off and see where we're at. So that's the ultimate, situational football where Sean McVay knocks it out of the park. So for me, I think the Rams are in a safer place than some other teams, only because the dude at the top he's never going to miss. I shouldn't say never, but he'll rarely miss one of those opportunities. When one of those comes up, he's got his list right here. Remember Sean Payton talked about it the other day. Hey, with this amount of time, we're going for 2. With this amount of time, we got to get down. With this amount of time, we take a safety. All that stuff's already written out, so the emotions and the chaos of a game don't get to you, and you don't, oh, my God, we scored. We got a touchdown. Let's score, like Nick Chubb. And, he makes a bonehead move, but he did it last year where he got down. Mm-hmm. Remember, he showed me he can handle that situation, so now it's about the communication to make sure you execute in those situations.
So you've got Rams at the Cardinals. So with Kyler Murray, like Russell Wilson, I think he's twitchier than Russell. I do think it's sustainable for a while. But Cliff Kingsbury has come to the microphone. He did it again this week and said things like, boy, I wish we were better early. I wish we were more. And it's like, I'm just reading between
But he said early in the week.
But yesterday, his quote was, I wish we were a little better early in the games. And I'm thinking to myself, it's preparation. Is it film? Why are they good late and not good early? I mean, I'm guessing, but that's what I hear.
Yeah, we're taking some liberties there.
Maybe I am.
But there's something to that because, it's exhausting to watch some of those plays. I can only imagine what it's like to execute them. And, when the coordinator, generally speaking, if a game's going right, 80, 90% of the time, they have a pretty good idea based on the pre-snap look where that ball's going. Or at least it's like, all right, he's either going here or here, or, oh, man, we're in over our head. He's going to throw this away, or, God, he might have to take a sack here. Hopefully we can hold up and protect, whatever. But with some of those ones with Kyler, there's no way to know where the ball's going. And that's because of his play style, and that's just what it is, right? So that becomes their formula to win. But running around for 20-plus seconds, that's exhausting for the guy. So it's like you'd rather have a couple breather plays, some easy, no-brainer completions that just kind of keep things going. So when it's time to make that miraculous, instant classic kind of play, then you do it. But you don't want to have him doing that regularly. And the teams that give the Cardinals fits are the teams that can silo him in the pocket.
Yes.
And you're not going to rush. You're not going to get exhausted from trying to rush up the field. You're kind of rushing like 2 yards, almost like two-gapping, right? Playing both gaps and muddying up, especially his right side, so the defense's left side, and where's right arm is. So he can't see in that like A and B gap very well, right? So you force him left. You keep the ends rushing up the field, but not too deep, and never attack him. Never go at him. Just stay right there and kind of shadow him, right? And then force him to play in that hallway and say, okay, go. Beat us downfield. All right, back end, you're really going to have to hold up this week because this dude's going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
Like trying to herd a cat or something. I mean, it's really hard.
Let's talk about somebody else. It's got a little Kyler to it, but I said this last year. Jalen Hurts got to 2 natties at Alabama, transferred, was great at Oklahoma, got the Eagles to the playoffs. Don't get too caught up in shapes and sizes and styles. Yep. All I know is this. Jalen Hurts is productive and is hard to prepare for because very few teams outside of Arizona have a guy at practice that can simulate him. It reminds me of years ago when Air Force used to have Fisher to Berry, the coach. And these big schools would schedule them in week 7.
Shout out Air Force.
Yes. And they ran this offense that, like, nobody could duplicate because it was so quirky. I think Philadelphia is a total handful to prepare for. They are so run-centric. I buy into what I saw on Monday night. Do you?
And that run game is all over the map, right? They can hit you from the gun. They can hit you from under center. They got the motions. They got everything with Coach Stoutland there. So that's a tough one. And you know it's going to be physical. Philly in general, just a tough organization. And they're coming for you, you know? And then when it's time to load the box with 8 or 9 guys and try and even up that run game, all the matchups because the quarterback can run, well, then he hits you with the big play down the field with
A.J.
Smith
Brown.
and A.J. Brown. Like those guys can really play. So they have, the power punch. They have some counter punches. Defense is playing well. I think the Vikings looked a little off, right? Plenty of things to work on for Jalen Hurts. I think continuing to develop as a pocket passer, I think is another part of his game where he can take a major step. But that formula that they have to win right now
physical
is legit. It's physical. Our run game's going to smack you.
Suck you in.
Here comes our defense. Establish the lead, control the clock, control the game, and just outlast you. Like, we're stronger and tougher for longer than you are.
You know, it was interesting. We looked at his career numbers aren't that impressive, but if you looked at his ascension as a player, it's really remarkable.
It's still a small sample size. Like, it's still, a little over a year, as a starter? So,
but he has gone from a
games?
58% completion guy to a 68.
Yep.
And he looks a little thicker. He looks more confident.
He's sawed off now. That dude's...
He's ripped.
Strong.
Right.
Like, he's not, a little dude getting hit and stuff. He brings a little juice with him.
He does. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.